appreciate y'all coming. You know, that game, I really had anticipated a lot of points being scored in that game. I thought that Tulsa wouldn't score that many, we'd score a little more. How that started, I was pleased where we had the 3 and out. I said that the other night, we had a 3 and out, we had a quick strike. Thought we were going to get our first kickoff return in years, fumble the ball over 44, have another fumble. You know, it really deflated us, and I think even when we had the 2 chances where we were deep in the red zone, you know, that first half we were to the corner red zone, and we came out with no points on 2 of those drives with a missed field goal, no went for it on 4th, and didn't make it. And then still, you know, even being down at half, you know, when we start the 3rd quarter, we get the ball and drive down and get points, you're feeling good about that, then we get a PAT blocked, and then they have a kickoff return. And, you know, before they ever run an offensive play, they put 9 points on the board. You know, you can't have those kinds of situations happen to you and win football games. We didn't have any turnovers defensively. Right now, defensively, you know, we had 1 blown coverage that led to points, but the other, we have people there. We just don't make plays, and we've got to get our confidence back that when we're running with those receivers, that at some point we break it up and we turn it to the receiver and get the interception. You know, sometimes we get so worried about getting beat deep. You know, you can get beat underneath and they can turn it up just as fast. You know, offensively, there was a lot that second half that I was really pleased with. I mean, you know, Sam McGuffey rushing for 178 yards. That's a great day. We've been waiting on Sam to have that type of day. You know, the bad news in the game is, and we've talked to him, is we've lost Randy Kitchens on the kick. We've lost Randy Kitchens to a hernia. We've lost Trey Briggs to an ACL on the kick return, and Andy Erickson has broken his leg. So we come out of that missing 3 more, and you know, we got to regroup. We got to have a great effort in Tulsa. We got to get the guys that are healthy, and we've got to somehow in this week of preparation, you know, get a little swagger back defensively and get to where, you know, we're making plays. We had 11 missed tackles in that game. That's more than we've had in a long time, and it's just, you know, we've got to, when things happen to us, we've got to learn to rely on our technique and our fundamentals and not abandon them. And I think that's really what led to some of those plays. You know, I expect the kids, the team to come back over here today. So we need to get it behind us. We need to get ready to play a great game against Tulane. Tulane sitting there 3 and 6. You know, I'm sure they're the same way. This is when we need to go out and execute and play passionate football and get a win.
With the pass defense, and you mentioned the just not making plays. I mean, how do you fix that, or what do you tell the guys since, you know, you're week 9?
Well, we've you know, you were there at the game. You saw we're running jaw to jaw. We just got to make a play. We're going to work a bunch of finish drills this week in practice. You know, at the top of the route, we're going to get them back to where in our back pedal we're opening our hips too early. We're doing some things technically we can't do. We've got to go back to fundamentals. And we're going to show them a lot of video of when they do it right, what the results are. And you know, we've got to finish. I think a lot of it is too. We've lost some confidence defensively. We've got to try to get that back. You do that by playing and practicing and continuing to work hard. You got to work through these rough times.
Coach, you mentioned after the game that it seems to snowball. Once one bad thing happens, the guys almost anticipate other things happening. And that's kind of been a prevailing attitude for the last 2 years. At this point, with 3 games left, what can you do to change that? Of course, not consistent.
Right. That's one where we, you know, football. We've got to learn when things bad happen, just like life. You got to keep going. You got to draw a line in the sand. It's when you got to be your best, not your worst. When we fumbled that kickoff, MK, you felt on the sideline where there was just a demeanor, an attitude change. You know, we've got to address that as a problem and continue to work on it and talk it through it, and we've got to get it done. We've got to still be demanding from these guys to do the right thing, to keep competing, and make sure we get enough of like the John Joffreys and the Luke Wilson to continue to change that culture where it doesn't happen.
Are you concerned, though, that it's systemic? Because there have been a lot of games where that's happened in the last couple of years where you've been close and that one bad thing has happened and then it rolls downhill.
You know, I think it's a culture we're not going to let set in here, and I think we've identified it. And as long as we continue to work on it, we're going to work through it. I think that, you know, you talk to these players today, you can come to practice, and they know it too, and we got to get enough of us just building momentum the other way. You know, we can't let a losing attitude set in here.
One of the positives you said after the game was Taylor Cook coming in and seizing the opportunity. What he did there in the second, what does that do to you thinking the last 3 games and how you want to do? Because you've been very, very pro Nick and sticking with them, but you
still pro. I'm still, you know, you watch the video. Taylor really did some nice things. It's one where we're going to let them compete this week in practice.
So you would be open to just whoever.
Yeah, but that's really, you know, every week in football there's changes.
When you looked at film, you know, you guys had 2 weeks to prepare for Tulsa, and the guys seemed very confident on Thursday when I last talked to them, and to give up 440 yards in the first half, obviously, you know, a lot of things went wrong. What jumped out at you beyond guys just not making plays on throw balls that led to that sort of result?
That's it, but that's exactly what it is. It's us just not making plays. You know, we have to make plays. We're in position in the, I think it was the 3rd play of the game, where it's a long ball, it's a flutter where you're thinking it's going to be an interception. You know, we've got to step in front of that, turn to the receiver, and make the play. You know, you make the plays, you don't have that kind of yards.
Coach, you got Tulane coming up this week. What's the, I guess, the preliminary game plan that you're taking in for that?
Well, game plan, we're still doing that, but you watch Tulane on video offensively. They're a little old school with their 2 back. They do a lot of the formation and the motions like Tulsa has done. So you'll see like 2 back. They're doing a lot of the 2 back to a lot of gun right now. You know, they are. You know, they beat Southeast Louisiana. They beat Army. You know, and they beat UTEP. And it's one where we need to play hard, eliminate our mistakes, and when we make them, get over it and play football. You know, you can't, football, you got to have a very short memory, you know, and you need to get it behind you. You got to worry about the next play. And I haven't done a good job of conveying that to this football team. But we got it. When something bad happens, you got to put it behind you.
I guess you haven't had the luxury that with the injuries, you've had to play some young kids, the depth and stuff. You've had some kids thrown in, but the last 3 games, do you do anything differently for some of the guys who maybe haven't?
I'm not going to pull a red shirt off any of those kids at this point.
And like somebody on Eddington, I know he didn't get as much. Where is one, is he okay, and 2, is it just the
He's
way?
fine. We're playing. Yes, he's fine. And he's playing a lot of plays. You know, we got to get more involved in special teams, just not offense. But you know, Sam was doing so well in that game that you know, I think Sam had 28 carries now. That's been his most extensive action this season.
Coach, you mentioned the deflating attitude after the fumble on the kickoff. You're always very optimistic and very positive. Do you think there's a disconnect between the way you project your optimism and the players not being able to get behind that and follow that?
No, I really don't. I think, you know, MK, and I've said this since I've got here, you got to expect to win. You can never change your expectations. You know, I'm not going to lower my expectations. I expect this football team to raise them to mine. I think, you know, we've got to continue to work on some leadership and get some of these guys, you know, leading. And you don't have to be a senior to lead. You know, some of these guys have played really well. They need to step up and get it going. When it goes bad, we don't let it go the other way.
Do you think that's part of the problem, that a lot of the underclassmen have naturally deferred to the seniors, and this is kind of a fractured and disjointed senior class because of things that happened before you got here?
Well, I don't, you know, I think we have some great senior leaders on this football team, but it takes more than just seniors. It takes leadership from the middle, like John and Luke, and I think they're starting to provide that. And you know, that's something we're continuing to build on. We meet with them by classes, and work leadership to try to get it where you don't, where things go bad. It doesn't just, it strengthens your resolves. It doesn't, you don't go the wrong way with it. We've got, I think, when you talk to John and Luke, you'll find some guys up here that are still fighting. It's not like we're, quitting's not an option. We're playing hard. We've just got to get our confidence back.
On Sam, there's never been a question of what he brings to the table athletically. What do you think clicked there? I mean, you said we've been waiting for maybe some of those things to come together, but I mean, it looked like he's had that explosive, but he just turned it up.
It's actually the perimeter blocking, where you saw Vance and Luke and Patrick Randolph and guys downfield holding their blocks, getting them into the second level.